Hello and welcome to Made with Carlenergy. This is episode 9. I'm Carlene, and with me here today is my co-host, The Dude, and this is my podcast about knitting and spinning. Thank you so much for joining me to see what I've been working on this week. If you are a returning viewer, you will have noticed that I am recording from a slightly different location this time. Usually I sit on my couch, which is right over there, but I decided to switch it up. I don't know if the lighting will be any better here. It might be, or maybe not, but yeah, I just thought I would switch it up. I have a pretty full episode this week. I am also recording a day later than usual. I tried to record yesterday and things were just not working out, so it is now Monday, October 26th, and yeah, I have a finished object. I have some works in progress, of course. I have some spinning to show you, as well as some exciting spinning news. And I have a little bit of chat about my knit-along, which is the local knit-along that just officially began last Friday, which was October 23rd, which was also my birthday. And I do have some stash enhancement, which I thought was going to be impossible because obviously Rhinebeck just happened, and I didn't think I'd be buying any more yarn after that for a while, but it is here. And I have some shout outs to other podcasters and, general chit chat along the way. So I will start with my finished object. This is the Vintage Prim Hat by Andrea Mowry. It is a pattern you can pay for on Ravelry. And you didn't even get to see this as a work in progress because I sped through it this week. I started it on Tuesday night and it was finished by Thursday night. So very speedy because I got absolutely obsessed with it. It is a brioche pattern and it was my first time knitting brioche. So it took a little figuring out and some starts and stops, but once I figured it out, I just got really obsessed with it and it was really fun to do. So I love how the colors came out, and it is reversible. So here's what the other side looks like. And I knit this on size US 4s, which is a 3.5 millimeter, I believe. And used my ChowGoo interchangeable needles, which I absolutely love. And the yarns were, the darker color is Into the World, which I just bought at Rhinebeck. Into the World, and it's their, it's going to get blown out, but it's their Bethel sock base, and it's their new kettle dyed line of hand dyed yarns, and this colorway is called Heirloom Ornamental. So this is a 4-ply superwash blue face luster, and I really enjoyed knitting with it. The color is beautiful. It's burgundy, there's a little bit of rusty orange, and kind of brown. I mean, so many different tones of color in that yarn. So that was really nice to work with. And then the lighter color is some leftovers from my Lumpy Space shawl, which was a limited edition colorway by, it was a collaboration between Wool and Vine Yarns and Jinx Yarns, and it was a superwash merino single, fingering weight, and Kristen of Wool and Vine Yarns and the Yarngasm podcast, I believe she dyed the yarn first, and she's in Brooklyn, so then she sent the yarn to Texas, where Laura of Jinx Yarns lives, and Laura overdyed Kristen's yarn, and that is the colorway called Wool and Jinx. So, yeah. And I went to Rhinebeck with this yarn. I brought the leftovers with me with the intention of buying some new yarn to pair up with it for this hat. So I can't be more happy with it, how it turned out. And it was, yeah, like I said, just really fun to do. And it looks like it has some cables in it, but there's no cabling. It's just all very clever increases and decreases in the brioche. And then it's nice because one side is patterned, and then you get this nice break with the garter stitch on the other side. So, try to put it on. I might squash my hair, but that's okay. So it's just a nice, slightly slouchy beanie. and I really like it. I can't really decide which side I like better. I think it'll depend on what else I'm wearing. I've been wearing it with the darker side out for the most part so far, but I do really love this side as well, and I'm sure that there will be outfits where this will be a better match. So I love that it's two-sided. I think it'll mean that I just get that much more wear out of it. So that's that. And then I will also show you what I'm wearing, which is not seasonally appropriate anymore, really, but I wanted to put it on to show you because this is my azalea tank top. This is a pattern by Pam Allen, and I had finished it before Rhinebeck, and I wore it at Rhinebeck, but you haven't seen it on me on the podcast yet, so yeah. There it is, and it's got this nice slight V-neck on the top. And I knit this with this yarn called, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right, but it's Gilsk brand Bumold Og Uld. And yeah, I'm sure that is a total butchering of the pronunciation, but I do really like the label on this. And this is a sport weight, 55% wool, 45% cotton, and I really enjoyed knitting with this yarn, and I love the fabric that it produced. So definitely recommend this as a nice summer yarn. And the colorway is just shade C15. It doesn't have a nice name to it, but I do absolutely love this color. It's a nice sage green. And I have this whole ball left over. I did buy this for the tank top, but I only ended up using 3 balls of this, which was I can't figure out the yardage. But anyway, yeah, it's 232 meters in 50 grams, and so I used 3 of them, and ended up having this left over. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but I think I am going to keep it. I could return it to my local yarn shop, but I'm sure I'll find a use for it. So, oh, and I did mean to mention, I entered this hat into the Kill to Craft podcast's Brioche Knit Along. Vanessa is the host of Kill to Craft, and if you haven't watched Vanessa's podcast yet, you really should. She is lovely and very fun to watch, and she has beautiful projects, and she has a brioche knit along, which goes, I think, just until October 30th, so I got in there right in time and sent in my finished object picture. So if you are interested in trying to whip up a very quick brioche hat, you might be able to squeeze in for her knit along. So moving on after I take a sip of tea. I have to show you this mug because it is new. You might have seen it on my Instagram if you follow me on Instagram. And this comes with a warning because if you have young impressionable children watching, or if you just don't like the F word, this mug does have the F word on it. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I will turn it around to show you. Yeah, this is basically mug perfection to me. I really love it, and I had to have it when I saw them. I think Laura of Jinx Yarns has one of these as well. I'm drinking some Moroccan mint tea by Numi. Very refreshing. So yeah, I ordered this mug actually right before Rhinebeck. They popped up on the Stephen B website. Stephen B is a yarn shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's owned by Stephen Berg, who is very, very fashionable, very just very out there with his style. Lots of neon colors, and he pairs up with Stephen West a lot, and I think they both have they've collaborated on custom colorways for hedgehog fibers, and so I really would like to visit his yarn shop. I'm not really much of a neon yarn person myself, but I would love to just go to the store just to see it all. And yeah, so they had these mugs on their website. They are made by Polly Studios, and They had, when you ordered them, you get to give your color preference, and then they said they would do their best to match up with your color preference. So I did write that I really liked, there was a picture of a bunch of them, and I said that I liked the seafoam green ones with the white top, and I ended up getting pretty much exactly what I wanted, so that was really nice. And I believe that they're sold out now, but they do have a pre-order option if you go to stephenb.com, and it's under the Stephen B Lifestyle section of their online shop. So if you're interested in a very sassy mug, yeah, my knitting's getting very sassy lately. I mean, I have project bags with shirtless dudes on them, and very rude knitting mugs. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It all makes me smile. So with that, I will move on to works in progress. Very quickly, in my freckled whimsy bag. These are socks that one sock, obviously. I do one at a time socks. But this is a sock I started right before Rhinebeck because I had finished a pair to wear to Rhinebeck, and I started these as my travel project and didn't get very far. That's all I have. I'm doing another plain vanilla sock with a 1x1 twisted rib for the cuff, and this yarn is Lorna's Laces Shepherd Sock in the Envy colorway. It's an 80% superwash wool and 20% nylon, and this comes in 50-gram hanks, so I have two of these. And I bought this yarn several years ago from a yarn shop on Chincoteague Island in Virginia, and I put it in a travel bag and then put that bag right back into my closet after the trip, and I guess just never, I just forgot that it had yarn in it, so I finally discovered this yarn after a few years of it being in my closet in a travel bag, and now I'm working with it. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you all might know what that feeling is like when you find yarn. It's like finding money in a coat pocket. You find yarn that you forgot that you bought. So yeah, the sock hasn't gotten much attention since I started it, but that's because I've been working on other things. Then my next work in progress is my Tartessos shawl, which I had mentioned that I wanted to begin a few episodes back. And this is a free pattern on knitty.com. It's in the current fall, or is it winter? It's in the current, still in the current issue, I believe. This is what it looks like. It's by a designer named M.K. Nance, and it's a pretty, very pretty, lacy shawl. The shape of it is kind of just a very subtly crescent shape shawl, and I'm knitting it with Wollonbine yarns in her Volca base, and this is the Dashley Crumb colorway, and I've been really excited to cast on with this. This is one of Kristen's newer colorways, and it's really, really gorgeous. It's I want to say it's her MCN base, so I think it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, something like that. And I'm knitting this again on size 4s, which is 3.5 millimeters on my Chow Goose, and it's going very well so far. If I can untangle it. So this is where I'm at. I'm almost finished with the main body chart. So this is actually the top of it when you wear it. This is the top, and it will go like that. And yeah, you're getting a pretty good idea of the pattern repeats there. And I love how this colorway is knitting up, and it just feels just so good. And I got a little sheep stitch marker on there. And yeah, this pattern I would really recommend. I think it would be a good first lace project, and if you're not used to knitting with charts, it's a very well laid out chart, and it's kind of an intuitive pattern once you know where your increases and yarn overs are supposed to be. It's easy to see them. It's easy to read. It's an easy to read pattern as you're going along, and on your next row you can pretty much tell where your next decrease and where your next yarn over is supposed to be. So if you are trying to get into lace or trying to get into reading charts, I would definitely recommend this pattern. And it's free on Knitty, so it's great. So I don't know if you'll remember this, but I had been working on the Whitecaps cowl, which is a free pattern from the pearlbee.com. And I had my size 4 ChowGoo interchangeables with that project, and I had been trying to finish that project before I started any new ones with size 4s. I was really trying to make myself finish things with one certain needle size before, and not try to take those needles away to start something new. But obviously that happened because I did want to make this hat, and I did want to start that shawl. And I do have my Whitecaps cowl sitting here with me, and yeah, as you can see, I did put my little end caps on and took the needles away for now. I love this. This is a cowl. I love it, and it's definitely still fun to knit, but it's just a boring tube of stockinette, and it's more of a this is more of a spring and early fall cowl because it's cotton and silk, and so I feel like this is not something I need right now. It's only getting colder, and I just think that this is, you know, not really gonna. This is, I think, more of an accessory than a warmth cowl. So yeah, I decided to put that on hold for a little while. I definitely will get back to it, and I know I'll enjoy finishing it and wearing it, but it's just not something I feel like I need right now. And I do have my progress keeper, so yeah, the last time I showed it, I've only gotten another inch maybe. So that is on hold for now. I felt bad, but not really that bad about putting the end caps on and stealing the needles from it. And then the other thing I want to talk about for works in progress is not a work in progress yet, but it's coming up soon. It's going to be the Doodler pattern, which is Stephen West's mystery knit along for 2015, and it starts on November 6th. So I did purchase the pattern, and I'll be getting my first clue on November 6th. I'm really excited to cast it on, but it also uses size 4 needles, so I'm trying to finish the Tarteso shawl rather quickly so that when the clue comes out for the mystery knit along, I can start on that right away with the size 4s. And I need your opinions if you are interested in giving them to me. So I've shown all this yarn in my last episode when I came back from Rhinebeck, but I'm having a little bit of a yarn choice dilemma. As I had talked about, I also brought this skein, or this leftover skein, with me to Rhinebeck. This is also from my Lumpy Space shawl, and these are the leftovers of my Skeiny Dipping Merino single in the Tea Leaves colorway. And so I brought this with me to Rhinebeck because I wanted to buy 2 new colors of yarn to pair with it to do the mystery knit along with Stephen West. And I ended up getting 2 skeins at the Indie Untangled Trunk Show to go with this ball of yarn. And that was my, this is also Skeiny Dipping in the same base, the Merino single. And this is the Salt Marsh colorway. beautiful green. And then I got this duck wool, and this is the merino silk fingering, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% silk, and this is the after party colorway, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's full of so many fun, beautiful colors. I can't wait to see how this knits up. So this had been my plan, was these three, and now I'm realizing that I do have a lot of this left over. This is the Into the World that I used for the vintage prim hat, and I do have enough of this left over to do the shawl as well. So I could do this instead. And I'm just having a hard time deciding. Morally, I want to use this because the whole point was for me to use some leftovers that I already had with new stuff that I got at Rhinebeck. But, I mean, technically this is now leftover stash as well, so I don't know. I think both would be really pretty. It is kind of difficult to tell because this has such a dark section that I don't know how all the yarns are going to match up together. Obviously it's a mystery knit along, so I can't really judge before I start knitting it. But so there's an idea of the different sections with that yarn. Or I could do this one, which I think would work really well would work really well too. I don't know. I'm in a dilemma. But I feel like I'm leaning towards this one, to be honest. I also like that this would offer more texture contrast. If I use these two yarns are the same base, so it would be a lot of merino single, and then with the silk and merino in this. And then this one is the blue face luster, so it would just give a little more textural interest, I think. But I don't know. They're all awesome, so it's hard to decide. But I don't know. I think I am leaning towards the maroon. But if you have any thoughts, let me know. And I'm keeping all of this in my new project bag that I bought at the Indie Untangled Trunk Show right before Rhinebeck with my funny dudes on it. This is a bag by Chowgu, but it's not spelled like the needle company. It's spelled Chiagu, and she's also on Etsy. She has awesome fabrics, awesome bags. So that's all for knitting. We can move on to spinning after some tea. So I got this little sample from the Classy Squid Fiber Company at Rhinebeck. Her name is Amanda. Here's her card. And this is the Exploding TARDIS colorway, and it was a Rolag. She gave me as a sample because she had a little meetup at Rhinebeck and was giving out samples. And I just had to start spinning with it right away because I really wanted to see how it would spin up. It's got all these awesome bits of silk noil and stellina and just all kinds of fun stuff. And it was really fun to spin. So I spun the single on an Erin Makes Stuff spindle. I'm sure you may have seen these on Etsy. Erin Makes Stuff is awesome. He does these spindles made out of colored pencils, which I also have one of. And so this one is acrylic in this aluminum mesh. I think it's aluminum. There's my... Oh, they dropped on the floor. Sorry about that. Yes, it's an aluminum grid with acrylic. And yeah, there's sparkle in there. I'm sorry about the glare. But yeah, you can kind of see the sparkle going on in there. Webcam definitely not doing it justice. It's really, really pretty. And this is Aaron's card. He's on Etsy, and he has I love his Instagram. I think he's been a little quiet recently. I think he's been really busy with his full-time job and hasn't been able to make as many spindles. but I really like his Instagram. It's Aaron Makes Stuff, all one word, on Instagram, and he really shows the process of making the spindles, which I really like. It's fun to see. And this spindle is only 0.7 ounces, so the singles did come out pretty thin. And I am plying it on a Snyder Turkish spindle, who is also on Etsy, Snyder Spindles. And Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast just got one of these at Rhinebeck with narwhals as cutouts. Mine has T-Rexes, which I think is awesome and pretty badass. And the only thing I don't like about it is that your cutouts eventually get covered up after you spin a lot on them. But that's just motivation to finish, I guess, so that you can take it off and see your dinosaurs again. But yeah, so I'm chain plying on my Turkish spindle, and that's going pretty well. And I don't know what I'll do with this. I don't know what kind of yardage I'll get, but it'll probably turn into a bird of happiness or some bunny nuggets or something like that. And then the other spinning I've been doing is still trying to get through my loop bump that I've been spinning for my Fringe with Benefits shawl, which I haven't added any more yarn to yet. I do have a mini skein of yarn that I had washed a few weeks ago, but I haven't actually added it into the scarf. And I've just been plugging away at this. I'm into this really beautiful forest green color. And I'm plying on the fly with this, so that is chain plying. You spin your single, and then you chain ply and spin the other direction as you go, which I might try to explain a little bit more in a future video, because I did have a question about how I ply my yarn in my Ravelry group, but yeah, I learned how to do the ply on the fly technique from a episode of Yarngasm with Kristen, and Kristen showed how she plies on the fly. So I'll try to link that episode. And I'm keeping this in my Fawn Knits project bag, which is the Fawn and the Fox on Etsy. And Laura has the Fawn Knits podcast. I'm sure you've heard of it, but if you haven't, please go watch it. It is really awesome, and Laura makes beautiful project bags. And I have a progress keeper on here, a little camera, which the Yarn Junkie made me. Amber of the Yarn Junkie podcast, she made me a bunch of beautiful progress keepers for a swap. So I've been keeping those on my zipper pulls when I'm not using them for projects. And this is the rest of the loop bump. I haven't weighed it. I don't know how much I have left, but it does take a long time to get through one of these on a spindle, I will say. Especially with the ply on the fly technique, it does kind of slow things down, I think, but at the same time I like it because once the yarn is off the spindle, it's already plied and all it needs is washing, so it has its upsides and downsides with that technique, but it does take a while. It's been a while of spinning this, but I'm not in any rush. This matches my scarf pretty nicely, actually. So the most exciting thing with my spinning is that I am expecting a wheel tomorrow. It's on its way to me. Yes, I ordered a wheel. I feel a little crazy for doing so, but I just had to have one. I mean, I have a huge fiber stash, and I mean, it was inevitable that I was going to get one, so I just went ahead and ordered one. What I did was, when I got home from Rhinebeck, I went right on Ravelry and started looking up wheels for sale in the threads, and I found another another lady on Ravelry who was selling her ladybug, her shacked ladybug spinning wheel. And so after Rhinebeck, I pretty much decided that the ladybug was the type of wheel that I wanted to get. So I found this one for sale because this lady has only had it for about a year, and then shortly after getting it, she decided that she did really want to get the Shaft matchless wheel, which is an absolutely gorgeous wheel, and I did try one of those at Rhinebeck, but the Ladybug is more in my price range for now. So I bought the wheel from her, and she actually shipped it last week, and they made it, but it requires a direct signature to be delivered, and I wasn't home on Saturday when they tried to deliver it, and then I was at work today when they tried to deliver it again. So what I did was I had to pay an extra $5 to change the address to my work address instead of my home address. So that's what I did today, and so it should arrive tomorrow, hopefully, at work, which is probably not good because I'm going to want to tear it right out of the box and start spinning. Yeah, but it's going to be here, and I will hopefully get the hang of it a little bit before my next podcast and be able to show you some wheel spun yarn. So very, very exciting. And that brings me to my guilty stash for the week. My mom works for an estate sale company, and so she just likes going to estate sales in general. My parents have always been really into going to antique stores and garage sales and estate sales, and they like a good deal. And I've kind of gotten that from them, the random collecting of things, and it's always fun to find something at a garage sale that's really awesome and you don't have to pay a lot of money for. So my mom always checks the estate sale websites, and if she sees any yarn at any sales, she'll let me know. She'll ask me if it looks like something I might want her to get for me, or if it's in my area, she'll say maybe you should go check it out. And a lot of times the yarn at garage sales and estate sales and things like this it is more of the acrylic that you can find in regular department craft stores, but this description on this particular sale had brands such as Debbie Bliss and Cascade and Classic Elite, so I decided to go check it out. And yeah, this is what I came away with. I have this bag, and this bag, and this bag, and this bag. This is 2 balls of Cascade Yarns Superwash 220. So it's just a nice chocolate brown. So I thought that would be nice to have on hand for maybe some gift knitting for some male family members. I might make some hats out of that. This is a random bag of some cool stuff. This is just, I don't know what brand this is, but it's a nice chunky, pretty colors. And this is some frog tree alpaca. And this is some Barocco mohair. This is Rowan Biggie print. No idea what I'll do with that. Really like this color. There's not much of it, but it's pretty. So yeah, this is just a bunch of random yarn. No idea what I'll do with it yet, but I didn't have to pay very much for it, so I decided to go for it. I do have 6 balls of this Debbie Bliss Soho, which I don't know what I'm going to do with, but I really like these colors. And these aren't colors that I wear very often, but I do like them, and it would be nice to have something with these colors. So I might do a big cowl out of this. I think I have enough to do a nice neck warmer type of thing. So that's my stash. And that brings me to my local love knit along. I started the chatter thread, And so if you go to Ravelry and search the Made with Carlinergy podcast group, there is a chatter thread for the Local Love Knit Along, and that officially started on October 23rd. And there has already been some nice entries into that thread, or just some chatter in that thread. Some of you have posted pictures of your yarn and told me a little bit about what local means to you, and so that's been really fun already, and I'm looking forward to more people joining in. And the Fringe Association actually had a really good post on local yarn and mindful yarn, basically, on her blog today. So that's fringeassociation.com, and that is a blog written by Karen Templer. I had messed up the name of the writer of that blog a few episodes back. I said that it was Kathy Cadigan, who is also a really great fiber artist, and she's friends with Karen Templer. But yes, Karen Templer is the author of the Fringe Association blog, and she's been running the Slow October, or Slow Fashion October movement, which is a tag on Instagram, and that also kind of ties in very much with the local love idea. So that's a really good resource for local yarn talk and being conscious of where your fiber comes from. So I really recommend that blog. I also recommend woolful.com, and that is a podcast as well. And there are a lot of interviews with local farmers on that blog, and it's really, really nice to listen to. It's an audio blog or audio podcast. And yeah, so, oh, and also for the Local Love Knit Along, I have decided to co-host it with Ellen of Idle Cat Knits. Ellen got in touch with me and asked if I would like a co-host, and I said that would be really great because I would love to open it up to even more people, and that means that you can double dip in both threads on my group and on her group. So her group is the Idle Cat Knits podcast group, and that means that you have more chance at winning a prize. So definitely check that out on my group and also on Idle Cat Knits. If you haven't watched Ellen's podcast yet, you definitely should. Ellen is really fun to listen to. She's an amazing spinner, very productive spinner, and she makes stitch markers and she sews, so she's doing all the great things. And I'm really excited to have her as my co-host for the Knit Along. Is that all I wanted to say about that? I think so. Oh, actually, no, it isn't. So, one second. As far as my own project for the Knit Along, I'm hoping to get more than one finished. I think I'm going to run the Knit Along for 2 months and have the end date be December 23rd. And I'm hoping that doesn't interfere with your Christmas knitting too much. I know it's a very busy time, but I'm hoping that you can also, you might think about using your local yarn for knitted gifts for Christmas. So that means that if you are using local yarn for your Christmas gifts, then you can enter our knit along, and you can also enter it in whatever Christmas knit along you would like. So I'm hoping it doesn't interfere with Christmas knitting too much, but if you think that it will, please let me know in the thread for this episode. And yeah, so the other thing I wanted to talk about is my own project for the knit along. So I started the Tarte Sew shawl, and that is with Volan Vine yarns. And I do kind of consider Volan Vine a local yarn to me because Kristen lives in Brooklyn, which is only about 2 hours from where I live in the Harlem Valley of New York. And Kristen has become a friend of mine, and so I think that adds to it being local. And Kristen, she's an indie dyer. It's only one person, so she's dyeing yarn on a relatively small scale. And I don't know where Kristen sources her yarn from, and I don't know how much she knows about where the fiber comes from, where the wool is sourced from. But yeah, the knit along is very open in terms of the interpretation of what local means. So I do think that with Kristen being pretty close to me geographically and being somebody that I know and watch her podcast, and I keep up with her updates in her shop and everything. That is, I think, local in a way. I also have some yarn from local farms in my area that I also want to get. I'm hoping to get a chance to knit up before the end of the knit along. So there is the local farm yarn, and I really like that stuff because I can kind of be pretty confident or very confident in knowing where the wool is coming from, right down to the sheep that it's coming from in some cases. But yeah, I think it's also great that Kristen is local to me and she's a friend, and I love using her yarn. So sorry if that was very rambly. Other than that, I will wrap up my episode with some shout outs to other podcasters. I want to say hi to Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast. I had mentioned her last week because I had met her at Rhinebeck, and I did check out her first 2 episodes this past week, and then today she had uploaded her 3rd episode, which was her recap of her Rhinebeck trip. So I'm really enjoying your podcast, Melissa, and thank you for the wonderful shout out in your latest episode. And I'm really looking forward to more, and I'm really glad that you finished your Knitted Monkey. I know that was a tough one for you to finish, and well done. And also, this is a podcast that I've been watching for a while, but I don't think I've mentioned. It is the Fluffy Fibers podcast by Isabel, and you've probably heard of it already, but I just wanted to say hello to Isabel. If you ever watch this, I really enjoy your podcasts, and you are just such a sweetheart and so inspiring, and you really you really make me want to learn how to sew, because I just love how you are able to put sewing projects together with knitting projects to make such beautiful outfits. Very similar to the way that Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes does, where she really plans out how she wants to put a whole outfit together. And I'm starting to get better at that, I think. I'm starting to think more in that sense of not just knitting things randomly because I find a pattern that I like, but really trying to think about how they're going to tie into the rest of my wardrobe. I think that's really important. And I do think I'm getting better at that, especially with this hat, for instance, and then with the Tarteso shawl. I think these two things will look really nice together when I wear them together. They won't be super matchy-matchy, which I don't like anyway, so I think they'll coordinate well without being an obvious match. And yeah, I think I'm getting better at picking colors that I will get a lot of use out of, and as well as patterns that I'll get a lot of use out of, so that's very exciting. And so with that, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I feel like I talked a lot and rambled a little bit and probably forgot some things that I meant to say, as usual. But thank you so much for joining in the knit along, those of you who have already posted, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. And thank you so much for watching and subscribing and interacting with me on Ravelry and Instagram. And I hope you're all enjoying your knitting, and I look forward to keeping in touch. Bye-bye. So I'm back really quickly because I did forget something. I forgot to mention that I had two lovely surprises on Friday, which was the 23rd, which was my birthday. I got 2 gift patterns on Ravelry. One was the Imagine When shawl, and that was gifted to me by Kristen of Yarngasm and Wool and Vine Yarns. Thank you so much, Kristen. That was really sweet, and I'm so glad I have that pattern now because I think it'll be great to use for handspun. And the other pattern I was gifted was the Talera shawl, which I had also had in my favorites, and a lovely Ravelry. Here I go again. Ravelry is that's not even a real word, I guess, but uh, a lovely girl in Ravelry named Julia gifted that to me. Thank you so much, Julia. I'm not going to mention your Ravelry name because I forgot to ask you if you would mind me doing that, but I wanted to say thank you, and that was just you sent me such a sweet message, and it was just such a lovely surprise on my birthday. So thank you so much for those patterns, and I really look forward to making them sometime in the future. And with that, I am definitely done. Cheers.